Okay, what is the absolute then?
What is the absolute? There is no absolute.
Okay, good. You've now screwed yourself. You can be quiet.
How have I screwed myself?
Why? Because if there is no hand, if you persist in over
You know what?
talking,
You've been over talking everybody.
If you persist in over talking, I will have to server mute you for a long time. I welcome your participation, but you keep on over talking. I'm speaking to Jung at the moment. Now, Jung, is that how you say your name? Jung, Jung? How would you like
You can say it however you want. I don't really care.
Okay, I'll just say Jung, all right?
Okay, that works.
Now, the philosophical consequences of you saying there is either no absolute or no absolute can be ascertained or spoken of, you will then destroy your ability to make intelligible statements, but you're not going to be aware of it because you're going to think, well, I can say to my mailman, the sky is blue, and he goes, yeah, the sky is blue. And the reason why is because you're focusing on semantic apprehension. Intelligibility that I'm speaking of is metaphysical intelligibility, that a singular assertion actually means something with respect to the entire system or the model of reality. If you don't know what the ground is, what the foundation or absolute is, then you cannot secure any of the other concentric rings of contextuality. You destroy, when you say there is no absolute, there is no ultimacy, then when you invoke contingencies, they're meaningless, because in order to invoke it, then there's nothing to ground it. That, in other words, truth could change in a blink of an eye. You have no firm foundation to stand upon. So there you won't have laws of logic. You won't have laws of nature. You won't have causality. So if you say, well, I don't know what the absolute is, then whatever assertions you make don't depend upon anything. Okay?
Okay, but why do we keep going back to the laws of nature? That's inherently Christian philosophy, isn't it? Assuming that, there was a creator that created everything, when we could go by an idea of maybe man's.
All right, listen. There are laws of nature.
You can say there are laws of nature, but I don't want to say there are laws of nature. There are laws of the universe. There are absolutes like physics.
Okay, listen to me. How old are you?
How old am I? I am 21.
Okay. You're very naive, okay?
I'm very naive about how the universe. How am I naive about something we have?
I'm trying to tell you, sir, okay?
Okay.
Now, when you try to differentiate between laws of the universe, laws of nature, you're making a distinction with no difference.
Okay? You are, though. There is a difference.
All right, dude, listen to me. I don't know if you're familiar with me. I don't put up with people who are morons and fools for very long. You don't know what you're talking about. Now, I'll be patient and take the time to unpack this for you. But if you're just going to become argumentative as a tactic, the conversation will end real fast. Okay?
I'm just trying to have a conversation.
Let me explain something to you. In your worldview, what is your basic worldview?
My basic worldview. Like how I perceive the world and how I understand it? Is that what you want me to say to you?
What is your basic worldview?
1 second, someone's PMing me. Well, I really wouldn't. I don't know. I've actually never thought about what my basic worldview is. No one's asked me that. So, could you explain to me, what do you mean in context of, a worldview?
What is your model of reality that will provide a framework for the meaningfulness and intelligibility of anything you say?
So the meaningfulness and intelligibility of anything I say. Well, I guess I could look at a worldview that's primarily centered around, reason and logic and science. Trying to rationally think about things and rationalize things.
That's not a worldview, sir.
Well, that's how I would perceive things, is through logic and rationality.
Okay, sir, listen to me. Listen carefully.
Okay.
Invoking that there's logic in science is not a worldview.
But there is logic in science.
Okay, listen. One more time.
We live in a society.
All right, dude, listen to me. Did you hear what I just said, that I don't suffer fools very long? Now, you need to focus on what I'm saying to you. Otherwise, I'll just ignore you. Now, I asked you what your worldview is. You invoke science and logic. Science and logic are not a worldview, sir.
Sure, they would.
All right, listen.
So could you explain to me how they wouldn't fit into like my worldview?
Okay, listen. Science is the notion that there is a knowledge base about how the external physical world operates. Okay.
Okay.
Logic are the principles of thought that govern how we can understand what is true versus what is not true. Okay. There are different worldviews that people have where they affirm both logic and science, but logic and science in and of themselves are not a worldview. Do you understand?
What?
Well,
Okay, a worldview is going to be your network of beliefs.
okay.
Those networks of beliefs will have certain foundational beliefs that give rise to higher level beliefs. And you're ultimately going to have a foundational idea of what ties everything together. Okay.
Okay.
And that's going to include something that I refer to as the irreducible primary. We could also call it the absolute, that which is absolute upon which everything else depends. Now, if you say there is no ultimate foundation, no ultimacy or absolute, then your statements of contingency don't mean anything, in spite of the fact that you think they mean something. So a worldview is going to include your network of beliefs and a foundational concept of that which everything depends upon. Okay?
So couldn't I have a worldview that is rooted in logic and reason that is based in science? Wouldn't that be a logic? Wouldn't that be a rational thing to say?
Listen, I just explained to you what a worldview is. Okay? Did you understand what I just said to you?
I put into words.
Did you understand what I
Yeah,
just said to you?
obviously I understood what you said to me, and I'm
Now,
trying
since
to
you
put.
understood what I just said to you, now my next question is, what is your worldview?
I already gave it to you.
No, you did not. I just explained to you.
I don't. So you're wanting me to give you.
Listen to me, dude. Listen to me. Now I'm starting to get pissed off because you are now being argumentative. Now, I explained to you what a worldview is. You did not give me your worldview. You referred to certain contingencies under the label of logic and science. Logic and science are contingent states of affairs from within a worldview. They do not constitute that which is absolute. In order to have a worldview, you first have to have a foundation, an absolute or an ultimacy upon which the contingencies are derived. Invoking science is not a worldview. Now, telling me that you are a metaphysical naturalist, that the only things that exist are matter, energy, causality, and laws of nature, that would be invoking a worldview that those three things, those three groupings, matter, energy, causality, laws of nature, are the absolute. That would be a worldview. But invoking science, which is a knowledge base of how things basically work, is not a worldview. Okay? Because I hold to science, and I'm in the Christian worldview. But there are atheists who hold to science, and they have a different worldview. So merely invoking science in and of itself and saying that there's logic is not a worldview. Now, what is the ground of all being that provides for all contingencies, including logical cognition and for the events that occur? What is it?
So logical cognition. So, I mean, our brain is literally a bunch of neurons firing and chemical reactions happening. So I mean, we could say,
okay, listen,
I could always go back to science.
Okay, listen, dude. Either you're incompetent or you're trolling, but I'll assume that you're not trolling. What is the foundation in your worldview from which all contingent states of affairs arise?
There is no foundation.
Good. Therefore, then it's meaningless to invoke contingencies. You're not understanding how what you just said. Tomaki, hold on a second. Jung, what you're not understanding is that once you say there is no foundation, then your statements of contingency don't mean anything.
Wouldn't it be fair to say that the foundations you speak of are just merely societal constructs created by man?
No, you're not understanding it. You might want to reason that, you might want to believe it, but there are fatal
Sure,
philosophical
reasoning is
consequences.
in my worldview.
Listen, dude, are you just being an argumentative little fuck, or do you want to learn and listen? Okay.
Well, do you ever learn and listen or no?
Now, Young, one more time. This is not controversial. If you say there is no foundation, or you say, I don't know what the ground of all being is, whether you want to believe it or not, whether you realize it or not, then your statements of contingency, okay, such as the sky is blue, don't mean anything, because blue could be one thing 1 second, and it could be another. In other words, you'll just be in an ever ceasing sea of change. There's nothing to ground anything. The reason why we say sky and blue is because those assertions are grounded in something that is not changing.
Yeah, language, which is something that we societally agree upon to speak.
Listen, dude, listen to me. You're a 21-year-old moron. That response that you just gave me has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Sure, it does.
No, it doesn't. You're not understanding it. Now,
maybe you may want to say it doesn't, but it does.
Listen to me, idiot. My patience is running out with you. Do you know why? Is because now I know that you're beginning to become argumentative, and because you don't like what I'm presenting to you, but you do not have a rebuttal, you're resorting to what is called Plan B, and it's either overt or covert argumentativeness. Now, do you understand?
Does it come in a pill form?
Let me explain something to you.
You make your own theories on the fly.
Let me explain something to you, right? In order for blue to be intelligible, it has to be grounded in something that does not change.
So what is it grounded in? Tell us.
Language.
Okay, listen, you're not understanding.
What's the answer? Tell us, dude.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Listen,
Darth,
hey,
could you tell...
if you're going to be an asshole toward me, you're going to be server muted. You won't hear it. Now, Young, in order to say the sky is blue, the word blue has to reference something that is not changing, including your concept, your memory, your cognitive processes, and the word sky has to have a meaning that refers to something in actuality that does not change. Okay. Now,
okay.
without there being a foundation in terms of reality, in actuality, or if you say I cannot apprehend that which is absolute, that's tantamount to saying there are no absolutes. So absent an absolute foundation, then assertions do not ultimately mean anything, in spite of the fact that people naively think they mean something. The reason why they think it is meaningful, absent an absolute, is because they're not willing to do the intellectual hard work of realizing that any such statements are without foundation. Okay? You have
Why did you mute somebody outside of your own room?
Okay. Why? Because I can server mute in all servers. That's why. And when people are trolling and over talking me and being disruptive, they get server muted. Okay.
I don't think that's how that works, though. Okay. Aren't you supposed to do it in your own room?
No, that is how it works, sir. Okay.
Don't you have your own room, Darth?
We're not going to be discussing my moderation. Okay.
Well, I wouldn't really call it moderation.
Now,
but...
okay. Now, what you are refusing to understand, and you do not want to discuss, because you know you're going to lose, is why you want to subtly change the topic by talking about societal notions. That has nothing to do with it. Okay? The word blue and the word sky, in order for it to mean something, there has to be an ultimate foundation. If you deny there's an ultimate foundation, or that you do not know what the ultimate foundation is, then saying the sky is blue is metaphysically unintelligible, in spite of the fact that you can say to your mailman, the sky is blue, and he looks up and he says, yeah. Okay. And the reason why you think it's meaningful is because you do not want to go through the process of going through the various contextual rings. Intelligibility requires complete context. If you don't have complete context, then your assertion doesn't mean anything.
Hey, Darth.
Yeah, why are you burping into the microphone?
I didn't burp.
Yeah, you did. You burped right into the microphone.
I did not burp.
Oh, where did that sound come from? Nobody else heard up.
I haven't burped. I've been awake like 20 minutes. I've not burped since I've been awake.
Yeah, well, what was that sound that came through your microphone?
That was somebody else. That was not me. I didn't even hear a burp. That must have been happening. I literally just joined the channel. I literally.
Good. What do you want?
Is China a communist country?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yes, China is communist. It's a communist country that has adopted certain capitalistic measures so it can survive.
Why are you changing the topic, Darth?
I did change it. I'm answering a question.
You're being a little argumentative, though.
Okay, fuck off.
There's just some retarded people in.
Yeah. Hey, Young, fuck off. Okay. You're gonna be an asshole with me. I'll respond in an unchristian-like way, which I shouldn't do. Okay. I can tell your parents didn't do a good job on you.
Did in the Bible, what does it say about cuss words?
We should avoid it. It's inappropriate, which I just said. Okay.
So they did have cuss words back in those days.
Oh yeah, there's always inappropriate ways of speaking in any given culture. See, the funny thing is, when I lay out a groundwork about worldviews and intelligibility, people realize what I'm saying is true, but they don't want to accept it. And so what they do is they go to plan B. And plan B is to be argumentative, either overtly or covertly. Okay? If you say there are no absolutes, or you say I don't know of any absolutes, then you destroy your ability to be intelligible. Even though you think you're intelligible when you go to Burger King and says, I'll have a Coke and a cheeseburger and French fries. The only reason why you think that's intelligible is because you've stopped short of dealing with the context.